What is going on, Fleet Nation? Welcome back to episode 44. And I'm Brendan.
And I am Jarod. Welcome back, NyFlyzone Nation. We are here. We are back, hopefully for the rest of the season for NFL. And what a great time to start right before week one. We have a lot to get into. Let's just say that, Brendan.
We got a lot to get into. Before we start talking about some football, Jarod, how was your summer? What did you do? I heard you had an internship with SNY.
Had an internship with SNY. You gotta love the Mets. But no, it was great. Got to go into the control room. Got to work on some social media stuff. Was able to edit some videos for them. So it was a great experience. Got to go on the field for a Subway Series game. Can't beat that. So it was really like a dream internship. It really was. How about you? I heard you did some stuff with Sports Grid.
Yeah, so I got the offer with Sports Grid. Wonderful experience. Shout out to Rebecca Harrelson for giving me that opportunity. I was working as an account manager, so I managed their Twitter accounts, and we got some followers for them. We interacted with a lot of people professionally. I got the opportunity to meet some higher ups in the Sports Grid company, which was great to get my name out there, and it was overall great experience and great thing to put on my resume.
Sounds great. And did you go to any? You kept following the Jets this offseason? I mean, we took our last episode was the draft where the Jets took Sauce Gardner. And who else did they take again?
We got Jermaine Johnson, we got Garrett Wilson, we got Breece Hall, we got Jeremy Ruckert. So kind of just snowballing off of what you were just talking about. Shout out Jarod for nailing the nail on the head with the Sauce Gardner pick. This man predicted it. He said that the Jets are going to go out and get the Sauce. You said it was going to be a great marketing commodity for the New York Jets. It would go hand in hand. And I think that it's going to work out for us. I mean, we know that the Jets win when we have that consensus cornerback in the backfield. And I think he's a great zone coverage fit for this organization. I mean, we know how Coach Robert Saleh worked with a Sherman back when he was working as an assistant defensive coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks. So I think Sauce has that attitude. He's got that swagger. He has that grit. Still has not given up a touchdown since high school. He was not targeted in the preseason. So I'm extraordinarily happy with Sauce Gardner. And moving on to the Jermaine Johnson pick, we're going to get back to Garrett Wilson. I know that he's the middleman there, but Jermaine Johnson, I mean, there were some talks about us getting him 4th overall. The ability for us to get him at the 26th pick, to move up and get our guy to address that edge rusher position was very primitive. And the 10th overall pick, the courtesy of the Jamal Adams trade, we were able to walk away with whom a lot of NFL analysts believe is the best receiver in the draft, Garrett Wilson. Has great body control. He can catch the ball, great awareness, great route running, great hands. I think overall the Wilson to Wilson connection will be brewing at MetLife, and I'm extraordinarily excited. I thought it was a dream draft. Jarod, what do you think?
And like you said, Jets drafted their guys. I mean, and they got skill position players that they needed, cornerback, wide receiver. And, they performed pretty well in preseason. But I think the biggest news to come out of preseason for your Jets is the Zach Wilson injury that has sidelined him. And that wasn't connection. Do you think that's a possibility week one?
See, I'm hearing conflicting reports. I'm hearing that he's doing much better, that his leg is in a stable condition, that he's able to move around and is acting very mobile. He was actually hitting some routes with his receivers, which is great to see that. However, I'm going to say no, do not play him. I don't care if even the doctors.
Is this what you're thinking?
This is your opinion? This is what I'm thinking. I think if I am Coach Robert Saleh, I'm letting him rest. I think leg injuries are very serious, and obviously we got blessed by the football gods. It wasn't an ACL. I remember so many people out there, NFL doctors, scouts, everyone, people in the respected industry was coming out on a gun and saying that, he tore his ACL. Thank God it was just a bone bruise and a MCL partial tear. And he flew out to his doctor in LA to get that done. The surgery was a success, which is wonderful. But ultimately, I just say don't play him. Like, even if he's 100% healthy, I mean, you have a guy in Joe Flacco that knows The Baltimore
Super Bowl
Ravens
winning quarterback.
Super Bowl winning quarterback.
The same coach. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows the Baltimore Ravens better than anyone else. He always went up against that defense in practice. Now I know it's a little bit different now. It's been some years since he was with the black and blue, but I think you got to play him. I think you got to play Joe Flacco, and I'm not taking any chances with Zach Wilson's knee. I mean, Jarod, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Or
Yeah, I see what you mean with it's their sophomore year quarterback. It's a leg injury, it's scary. And Zach Wilson, he's known for scrambling around. He's known for his ability to create with the ball when he runs. So I see your point, and I agree with you. The Jets, they're not going to be competitive this year. They're not. They're not in
I disagree.
anyone. Well, okay. I'm competitive as in they're going to get a playoff spot. They will be a tough team, but you're thinking of your future more. And if you rush them back against really notoriously good Ravens defense, it's not worth. And it is at home. It would be disappointing to all the fans wearing the Wilson jersey, but I think it's for the overall better sake for the Jets going forward. So what if something happens? Then the whole news would be they rushed him back. So at least push that narrative away, push the narrative for a week, say, all right, we gave him the full time, even an extra week, and then he got hurt, and then at least they did their due diligence.
Exactly. And also, we got to remember, Zach Wilson is young. He's 23 years of age, just turning 23 years of age. He's a young guy, and we saw how he was sidelined towards the end of the season last year with an I think it was his right leg, opposite leg, and he came back and had played some of the best football. That's when you saw him win the turnover battle against Tom Brady against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Barely lost, should have won that game. And I think that having him on the sideline allows him to just for the game to slow down, understand his progressions more, see things from another perspective, learn more. I think that there could be some serious positives putting him on the sideline for just some games.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Joe Flacco, like you said, formidable quarterback, former Raven. He was there last year as well. So it'll still be a competitive game out there. I'm sure he would love to poke it in his old coach's face and the guy who took over his job, Lamar Jackson's face. And, he's going to be competitive. He's going to be fired up. And Wilson, just give him an extra week, honestly.
I agree. Now, to switch over to the other side of New York, the New York Giants had a great draft, in my opinion. They had the 5th pick and the 7th pick. They went out there, addressed both sides of the ball, the trenches. Evan Neal.
Mm-hmm.
They went out there, got Kayvon Thibodeau. And also, they got the big name head coach, Brian Daboll. How does it feel right now to be a Giants fan? Please just give us your thoughts about the offseason.
I'm not going to lie. It's a bit weird being a Giants fan right now. It's a bit weird. Love the draft. Love the coaching staff. But have you seen the news recently about the Giants? They had to cut Blake Martinez, a former captain, tackle leader in 2020, got an injury last season, and our linebacking core is very thin. Let me just say that it's thin. So I'm honestly confused in the direction that we're going. Are we trying to be competitive or are we trying to rebuild? That Kenny Galladay signing last offseason looking kind of weird right now. But I don't know if you saw the clips of him, but it did not look like he wanted to be out there. And that's not doing any sides good. If he wants to get traded, that's not doing himself good with that image. And if he wants to play for the Giants, he's not contributing. So that was, I think, the biggest storyline of the offseason, of the preseason, offseason, was the Kenny G not really doing it for us. His stats last year, he had no touchdowns. We all know that. All know that he had no touchdowns. And, that's when he had Daniel Jones, a bad O-line, and Evan Neal looks great. I mean, his preseason games, he looked great. We should, with Daboll, see an upgrade in the offense that we haven't gotten since, when Barkley and Odell were on the same team for a little bit. That was the only times that the offense has clicked in recent years. When I think about the Giants offense, still think of Eli and Victor Cruz and Odell and Hakeem Hicks. They haven't really had that great offense. And last year, we were talking about the Giants having a pretty good wide receiving core and Kenny G, Tony, and Shepard, and now the same guys are back, and they're like middle of the pack to the end of the league now. So it is a weird time to be a Giants fan. I think we're gonna win some games. Don't think we're gonna make the playoffs though, honestly.
So from my perspective as being a Jets fan, looking at your organization, seeing you guys kind of a similar kind of reminds me of how the Jets were easing away from Adam Gase and his era and the Mike McCagnon and transitioning into the Robert Saleh crew. Because there's some contracts out here that Dable doesn't agree with. And your new GM who has that tight relationship as working with the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think that this season is kind of just is Daniel Jones it season. This is the make or break season for Daniel Jones. There's no excuses here. It will depict
I've been saying that shit about Daniel Jones for like the past 2 years. I know this is the last rookie contract deal, last year of it. This has to be his last chance. This is in another offense. Dable, who's proven in Buffalo that his offense, his mind works, and you have Barkley completely healthy. Last year, he even said that he wasn't 100%. He wasn't comfortable on that knee. He should be good. He's got the wideouts. You got Tony coming off of injury for a full season, hopefully. Shepard for a full season, hopefully. And Kenny Galladay, hopefully, is just a presence on offense. So the offensive weapons is there. Evan Ingram, he's gone in Jacksonville. We don't need him dropping passes anymore. So this is really Daniel Jones's last chance. And even Saquon Barkley's last chance too. Because if they don't click this year, if we win less, if we're the worst team in the NFC East, that's going to mean something. And they're going to have to do something about it.
Most definitely so. I think there's a lot of promise with Dable. I like him a lot. I mean, you take a look at how he was able to shift the Buffalo Bills culture. Poaching that from that specific tree, I think, is a really good idea. And I think that it's just going to take some time because obviously, if you look at your roster, it's bottom 5 in my opinion. Your roster around the league, but I like how you guys attack the offseason, especially in the draft. I think Evan Neal is going to do great things for your run game. I think the football philosophy starts in the trenches, and that's similar to how the Jets approached it. So if you can start at the line and build around that, that would be great. And as I said before, I feel like it's the year to evaluate Daniel Jones. It's his make or break year, and also to weed out all of the contracts that McAdoo put for you guys. Gettleman put on you guys. And now that he's not here, you can see what's going on with Kenny G. You can see what's going on with all of these assets that were given a huge bag. And is it worth it down the line? So we're going to find some answers this year. Who are Dable's guys? Because I'm sure there are some Giants on this team that he can work with, but Sundays will only tell us.
It's going to be like with the Jets and Sam Darnold. I mean, like Schoen and Dable, Daniel Jones isn't their draft pick. He's not. He's Gettleman's, and they would easily move on for him. I could see. That's what the Jets did with Zach Wilson. They moved on, and with Daniel Jones, he's just gonna have to play out his contract. I mean, you're not gonna be able to trade him. So it's really just I don't see the Giants keeping him because I don't think he's the future. He hasn't proven that he's a top 20 quarterback, top 18, 17 quarterback. Hasn't proven that yet. And you saw the 49ers were trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, who went to the NFC Championship game. Couldn't find a home for him. Baker Mayfield, great quarterback. Has some, last season he wasn't that good, but he took the Browns to the playoffs a couple seasons ago. And they got a 4th round pick from the Panthers for him. So Daniel Jones, he's not going to be a Giant next year unless he puts on a spectacular season. Even if it's good, I don't think he's going to be a Giant next season.
I totally agree. So which draft pick are you the most excited about?
Well, I would say Evan Neal. I mean, if he could be great, if he could be like how he looked in the preseason, Barkley should, feel more protected and Jones should be more protected. And I think that overall, just his presence will just give them like at least one more half a second to a second more to decide what to do with the ball. And football, that's a huge amount of time to be able to think, react. So I'm most looking forward to him, Evan Neal.
And just like how Jets fans were biting their nails seeing Zach Wilson go down with a knee injury, happened with Kayvon Thibodeau. So
Yep.
what's the status with Kayvon Thibodeau right now?
Thibodeau, I mean, he said to reporters that he laughed at the memes. He thought it was funny. But his status for week 1 right now is they expect him to practice Tuesday. Him with Aziz, Azil, who was our draft pick a couple years ago, who everyone expected a big season last year, but took a step back. But it's still limited. So, the same thing with Zach Wilson. I wouldn't mind if he didn't play Sunday. I really wouldn't. But if he's got that personality that I think that, he will be there on Sunday. And, if he's not 100%, he's not going to play. But if Kayvon stays 100% on Sunday, he'll play.
I definitely agree with that. Same kind of situation with Zach Wilson. Only difference is that one's your franchise quarterback potentially, and another one is your edge rusher. So
yeah. Edge rusher, though, you still need that leverage in the legs. And, it was a shame. I was pissed when he got hurt because it was a chop block. But, he's smiling. He has a great personality for New York so far. So it would be great to see him play alongside, Leonard Williams, Cat, and these guys on defense. And, I'm worried about this defense this year. I'm not going to lie. In our secondary, I know Dory Jackson's there still, but we got rid of Bradbury. So, it's going to be an interesting season. This Sunday we play the Titans. And the Titans had an interesting offseason, got rid of A.J. Brown. Derrick Henry's back from injury. After being number 1 seed, they were knocked out. I fully expect Derrick Henry to run all over us. And that's okay. I mean, it's the Titans. They were number 1 seed last year. They did lose to the Jets last year. That's a fact. So week 1, we're away as well. Anything could happen, but I still see the Titans pulling through against the Giants.
I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans as well, the defending first seed in AFC. And I just think Derrick Henry's run game is going to be way too much for you guys to handle. It's going to be ground and pound. And obviously they missed AJ Brown, which is going to free up the defense for you guys. It's going to help you guys out in that regard. It's never fun game planning up against taking, your CB1 on AJ and then having your safety have to potentially double team or watch the box with Derrick Henry. So I think that definitely helps your game planning. However, I think the speed and the experience of this Tennessee Titans football team is too much to handle for the New York Giants.
Nate, can you name me 2 wide receivers on the Titans?
2 wide receivers on the top of my head.
Yeah, off the top of your head. Last year was easy, but this year not so much. Last year was AJ Brown and Julio Jones. Both moved on to different teams.
Well, yeah, I know that they got Traylon Burks. They picked him up.
Got Burks.
And then we got Robert Woods as well.
Robert Woods. I think that's a good fit for him there. I mean, he was good on the Rams, and now he's more of a 1 on the Titans. He's a 1 receiver, which would be interesting for Woods. So that's not this. I don't think Woods is on the level as AJ Brown or Julio Jones when he's on, but it's interesting how the Titans have that what they're doing on offense here. They have Austin Hooper at tight end now. Like, I didn't know any of this. And they have Tannehill and Malik Willis. I mean, do you see Malik Willis coming in any time this year? Just quickly.
I mean, he looked pretty good in the preseason. He had that scrambling touchdown. I mean, we all know he has that cannon of an arm. And I remember Vrabel was disappointed in Malik because of his legs and how he was moving. He wanted to see him display his arm. But I think for the most part, Tannehill is going to maintain that offense. He has the experience. We saw him trend upwards in his career. I think him losing the AJ Browns, stuff like that, is going to hurt. It's going to hurt him. However, you might as well just go with the person that knows the offense, that, won the conference, or, you know what I mean? Like, was the first seed in the conference last year. So I think you're better off going with him, and you allow Malik to just sit, digest the offense, get accustomed to it. But if Tannehill shits the bed and if he's not playing good, then I think you might see Malik roll in. And it all just depends on how hard and how well Tannehill can play.
And speaking of another team who traded away their number one receiver, the Ravens, the Jets opponent, they got rid of Hollywood Brown, and they got back their running back, J.K. Dobbins, who was hurt in preseason last year. They have their great tight end, Mark Andrews, and Lamar Jackson, former MVP, who is still looking to get paid. Now, Brendan, how do you think the Jets will fare against the Ravens?
So I think the Ravens obviously they're a very hard team to go up against, because you have the RPO ability within Lamar Jackson. He can beat you over the numbers. He can beat you inside the hash lines. He can run, he can pass. Very hard to game plan against him. It's going to be a long day for Ulbrich, our DC, whom I'm not the highest on. I think he definitely has some flaws in his game when it comes to play calling. I think that, ultimately we're going to lose this game. However, it's a good bet to put on the Jets. I mean, what is it, plus 250 or something like that amongst those lines? The money isn't like where the Jets are to be made. And I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate. What do the Jets have going into this game? How can they win this game? Well, I just want to start on the fact that it's on 9/11. All of the Jets, fans and all of the Jets players will be juiced up. They'll be ready to go out there and play for their city, in which they love. We all know that Robert Saleh almost lost his brother in that tragic event. So I think that definitely is going to amplify this New York Jets team. I think it's going to be in the atmosphere. If it is Joe Flacco going up against his former opponent, I think he will be ready. It's a revenge game for him. We all love some revenge games. And if you look across the ball, whether if it's Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco, I mean, we have a revamped offensive line. Left guard, Dwayne Brown coming in. He's going to take that. I'm sorry, left tackle. Left guard, it's going to be Laken Tomlinson, Pro Bowl guard, someone from the 49ers tree that is amazing in pass block, but even better in run blocking, which is going to open up gaps and holes for Breece Hall, more options for where the ball to go. And then center, Connor McGovern, one of the most least penalized centers in the league. He's definitely done great things for us. Right guard, Elijah Vera Tucker, continuing to be great. He was borderline Pro Bowl last year. And then right tackle, we got George Fant, who was the best tackle or lineman, offensive lineman on our team last year. We got him from Seattle, and since then his stock has been rising. So I think we have the protection. I think we have the anchor on the line to do some damage, and I think it's going to be a closer game than people make it out of. And on the line of scrimmage, you got
spread at against the Ravens. What's the Jet spread?
What's the spread?
Yeah,
I could look it up right now, but it's we could look it up right now.
It looks like
I'm logging into FanDuel. Jarod, will you be betting this year or no?
Oh, you know me, of course. I don't know what the plan is to do. Anytime TDs or just who wins the game. I have to see. I wasn't able to bet last year. I wasn't 21 yet during the football season, so I'm looking forward to it this season. And obviously, you work for Sports Grid during the summer, betting network.
Exactly.
So according to FanDuel, it's a plus 6.5 spread.
Yeah, so they're predicting the Ravens to,
win
beat
by a
us.
touchdown.
Yeah, which is a close game. But nothing too crazy. But ultimately, I think that the Ravens will get the job done due to the experience. I think that they're better overall around the ball. I think Lamar Jackson is the best football quarterback on the field. So I think that, the Ravens are going to get the win. However, the Jet, it's doable. It's doable. I mean, Elijah Moore, who has been absolutely killing it. He's out there playing like a wide receiver one. He's getting open.
Speaking
He's
of
great
Jets
with
wideouts, what are your thoughts on Mims?
Mims. I mean, he's got to go. I mean, he requested a trade. He had the best NFL game in the preseason, where against your team, the New York Giants. And I'm happy for him. I'm also happy for the trade value that we're going to receive, how his stock is going up because he was catching passes in his last game with the Jets, his last previous game with the Jets. However, if he's not happy here and if he believes that he could be somewhere that's better for him, then I think we got to just take what we can get from him and run.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, he kind of got the short end of the stick. I feel like, Elijah Moore drafted, Garrett Wilson drafted. So, I feel like Mims has a right to be upset, well, right to want to move on. And I think Salah or Joe Douglas said that they're going to try to honor that. Doesn't look like it'll be messy. Looks like they're both in agreement that, hey, we could get some value from you, and you deserve to, be a second or third option on their team.
Yeah, I mean, having him as a security blanket or a wide receiver 4 or 5 definitely isn't bad from a depth perspective. We all know that he has that big body. He's more of that 50-50 catcher. He was a beast at Baylor, but it just wasn't clicking with the Jets. I mean, he had that incident where it was the salmonella incident, or when he had food poisoning from like salmon. So that was crazy. And then he was sick. He wasn't able to really perform that well. So I don't know. I just, it wasn't the best fit for him for whatever reason. I know that Zach has a lot of rip on the ball. And we've had a lot of drop passes. So a lot of it could be on Zach's fault because he's not used to how fast that ball is coming. Because he had a lot of drop passes. So I think it's his adjustment towards the NFL and understanding how it's a completely different league. The timing is so much faster. So quarterbacks need to get it into tight windows, thus, a stronger touch. I think it could be on both sides. I think Zach needs to get his touch a little bit better. So it's more in the favor of these quarterbacks. I know Garrett Wilson came out and spoke about Joe Flacco and how that is kind of a difference in Flacco's game and Zach's game. Flacco knows how to be more calculated with his touch. Meanwhile, Zach is kind of still out there just running around like, his hair's on fire, just trying to make plays. So you know what I mean? So I wish the best on Denzel Mims. I think, you get him to a Super Bowl contender where he's around some serious vets, that know the game of football, boost his confidence, allow the wins to keep coming in. And I think that he could do well. And I think the Jets are going to be smart about Mims. I don't think we're going to be quick to, get him off our roster. I think we're going to wait until some injuries happen. Let's say Tampa Bay Bucks, God forbid, Godwin goes down or something like that. They're going to want to go out there and get players that they think that, that had high premium value once they were drafted, that they think that they can turn around into a stud.
Yeah, and with that said, prediction for their record this year. Let's hear it.
Starting with my New York Jets, green and white, I'm going to say 7 wins. I think the New York Jets find a way to get 7 wins. Think about it, Jarod. I know you might think that's a little bit too high, but what did we win last year? We won 4 games with a terrible roster, the worst defense in the league, and we're able to go out there and get Sauce Gardner, get DJ Reed, get Quan Alexander. We were able to get Jordan Whitehead, the Tampa Bay Bucks best safety. All right, we're bringing in dogs that understand the game of football, people that are playing in the Super Bowl. We have CJ Zuma. He was out there catching passes from Joe Burrow, getting touchdowns, doing his thing. So Conklin, Jeremy Rucker, as our tight end number 3. We went out there, we addressed the position from receiving. We got Garrett Wilson, arguably the best wide receiver in, out of the draft. We got a top 3, top 4 edge presence in the late first round. Should have went top 15. We addressed the offensive line. We got Dwayne Brown. We got all 9 yards. Best running back in the draft, Breece Hall, who I put the house on, by the way. If you haven't done it already and you're 21 years of age, go out there and put the house on Breece Hall to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's plus 900. It's free money. I don't even know why. That's a conversation for another time. However, I think the New York Jets go out there, win 3 more games than last year. I understand the AFC is much, much stronger now, with Russell Wilson coming in, but I don't think we make the playoffs. I think we go out there, we win 3 more games. I think we find a way to get it done and put our name out there a little bit more. 7-10 is my prediction.
I'll give you 5 wins. I'll give you 5 wins this year. And it's still an upgrade over last year. And I feel like the way you're going to win, the way you're going to lose is going to be different than last year. I'll give you that. But I'm still not 100% sold on the Jets being 7-10. You mentioned that Russell Wilson's in the AFC. That is correct. But you also forgot to mention the Dolphins. They got Tyreek Hill now. That's an added. I expect the Dolphins to be better. And the Patriots got their second year of Mac Jones. And they still have Belichick. And you got to play the Patriots, Bills, and Dolphins. Was that 6 times? I could easily see the Jets going 1-5 or 2-4 against them because those are division games, but they're the better teams, those 3. But other than that, they get squeak one out against the Seahawks and the Jaguars, probably the Bears. And other than that, the Jets aren't the better team on the field, so I'm gonna give them 5. And if they prove me wrong, they prove me wrong. I mean, you make a great point. They upgraded a bunch. I feel like they did a lot better than the Giants at addressing needs this offseason. But you're still in the AFC. You're still in that division.
I think there's some sneaky games that we can win. I think we could beat the Hawks. I think we could beat the Lions. I think we could upset the Vikings. It's possible. I'm not saying it's happening.
Seahawks?
Yeah, they're terrible. They have no Russell Wilson.
Never mind.
Yeah,
I was thinking of the Broncos.
Yeah, no, I think we could.
I give you Seahawks. I give you Jags.
I think we could beat the Browns. They have no Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, right? But the Browns still have, other than the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett's their quarterback. He's won some NFL games before.
I think we could beat the Jags. I think we could beat the Bears. I think we could we already beat the Bengals with a 3rd-string quarterback. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but listen, look, the Jets team is different this year with Robert Saleh than with previous years and like Adam Gase. We went out there and we beat legitimate contenders. We almost beat the Bucks. We did beat the Titans. We did beat the Bengals.
Super Bowl,
it's a different
AFC,
a different atmosphere. You never know.
All right. Well, that said, I'm going to give the Giants 7 wins, even though they won 4 last year. All right. I'm, like I said, like you are with your Giants, I'm an optimistic Giants fan. And the fact that we get to play the Commanders and the Eagles is a way better odds than the Jets, who have to play the Bills and the Patriots and the Dolphins. So I'll give you the games that I think we're going to win. I think we beat the Bears. I think we beat the Jags, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Lions. And then we're going to win at least, I think we split against the Eagles and Commanders. Look, there's always close games between us too. Daniel Jones, for some reason, loves to beat the Commanders and usually plays well against the Eagles for the most part. So with an upgraded coaching staff, I think this team squeezes out 7. They don't make the playoffs still, but I don't think that, 4 wins, less than 4 wins is an option. Last year was abysmal. And if we get off to a tough start, then I can see us getting into that 4-3 wins range because there's going to be no motivation unless Dable could turn it around there. I think that's why Joe Judge got sacked last year, because of the lack of motivation throughout the season. So that's what I think. I think 7 wins, reaching high. It's really high. So what do you think?
Yeah, I beg to differ. I think you guys will be looking at one of the top quarterbacks in the draft next year, whether if it's CJ Stroud, whether if it's Bryce Young. I think you guys are going to win 4 games next year. I know that that's right exactly where you were last season. However, I think this NFC East division is up and coming. The Dallas Cowboys, whether if you want to look at it or not, or they're great around the ball. Dak Prescott, top 10 quarterback. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got Schultz, you got Zeke. And honestly, I'll take Zeke over Saquon. If it came down to it, I would take Zeke over Saquon. They got a better offensive line. They have a better defense. Micah Parsons. Yeah, so they got a squad. Eagles scare the shit out of me, man. Like, honestly, they're dogs. AJ Brown now, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith.
I
Okay.
know the
Um,
Eagles are looking scary, but they could have done way better last year. They were a Mickey Mouse playoff team, I must say. They did not deserve to be there. And I'm gonna say FanDuel Sportsbooks, they're over under 7.5 wins for the Giants. Vegas knows something. So
Vegas knows something, and you have a point, but I don't see it. I don't see it. Um, look, their defense, it's just you lost Blake Martinez. That
I know
guy
the
was a
defense is a
giant.
question mark.
We all knew that, like, when you think of the Giants, like, on the team, it's like, that's what comes to my head right now. Like, Blake Martinez,
Mhm.
he's been there for a while. So I think that the defense is just like a huge question mark. And I think all teams in your division are gonna beat you guys on Sundays. Even the Commanders, they look better around the ball. They have a much more competent quarterback, Carson Wentz. They have a young up and coming defense. Scary Terry. Better receiver than any of the options you guys have. So I think you guys are completely, outbeaten in the division. And I think that, it's not going to be the easiest season for you guys due to the fact that it's strictly an evaluation with Jones. It's the last chance in Daniel Jones of what you guys are looking for in the locker room. I think it's an internship year for most of these athletes. I don't think it's anything like
Nice
going to be
analogy.
anything crazy. Just because, remember, it's the first year with Daboll. It takes time to allow people to buy into the culture, to create the culture. The culture will not be
Mhm.
there as soon as week one comes. It takes time. So
It
that's
does.
overall my opinion.
It I see what you mean, but like Eli Manning hasn't played consistently for the Giants since 2019. We've had 2 seasons, those are supposed to be our rebuild years, 2020, 2021, but still like no progress in anything, not even the coaching staff. So that is like dilemma for the Giants is, are we going to be competitive, or are we going to tank for one of these quarterbacks? And if Dabo sees a guy he likes and we get him next year, I would be fine with tank the season. But I just want to see the Giants win again. Senior year of college. It'll be great to root for them in competitive games, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. They're gonna be a pretty mid team for the most part, and it could even go down to suck at some point.
So, Jared, football is one day away as we speak. And how does that, like, what do you think about this matchup? Is this a potential Super Bowl matchup, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think the Bills are a Super Bowl, or in my Super Bowl prediction. It's very hard for a team to go back to back to Super Bowl, even if the Patriots did a lot. Tom Brady, I know, but remember, this is everyone played a lot of minutes, a lot of games last year season on the Rams. People are getting older. Newly upgraded Allen Robinson. Um, I think the Rams are still a top team in the NFC, but I think they get dethroned, and honestly see Bills Bucks Super Bowl coming through.
Well, that makes two of us. I myself believe it's going to be Bills Bucks. I actually put money down on it. It was
Really?
yes, it was a Super Bowl forecast bet. I know it's kind of a chalk answer, but I just think that the Bucks, come on, it fits the narrative, right? It fits the story. We all know that Tom Brady gets the job done. We all know that he's seeking for 8. We all know that he's not going to take no for an answer. Something just sounds too good about him coming out of retirement. I think that he will find a way to get it done. He has the experience, and not to mention, the NFC is wide open. It's for the taking. The only guy in the way, the only organization in the way is the LA Rams, in my opinion. I do not believe in the Green Bay Packers. With them losing Devontae Adams,
I don't believe in them either.
I know Rodgers is a dog. I know he'll go out there and compete for MVP. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong. And I know he'll be able to get it right. But I just don't think that, he'll find a way to win. And then talking about the other side, right? The AFC, the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it irks me to say this as a diehard Jets fan. However, we got to give it to them. I think when
They own the East, AFC East.
Right. I mean, they do. And I think you got to give it to them because when you look at them on roster, like on paper, like they have everything. Like they're not missing anything. There's no holes on this team. And for them to go out there and acquire Von Miller, a guy out there that's hungry for another ring, he's going from, a Super Bowl champion to now potential Super Bowl champion with the Buffalo Bills. I think he chose wisely heading over to Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen, I personally believe he's the best quarterback in football. I know that sounds crazy, but
he could be.
But I personally believe, the way that he's able to move the football, the way he's able to scramble, the decision making, he's smart with his body. He's a team player. People rally around him. There's legitimate culture accumulated in Orchard Park. And listen, man, imagine watching the Buffalo Bills first time going up into the Super Bowl in quite some time, over 30 years, to see them go up against Tom Brady. Come on, that's pay-per-view.
The Bills
right
is
there.
dad.
That's pay-per-view. Now, wait a second. Before we get to the moment we've all been waiting for, who's going to win it? I'm going to say right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win this matchup. I think it is way too fairy tale-esque to believe that the Buffalo Bills will get their first organizational Super Bowl ring up against their father, Tom Brady. There's no way. It's not happening. I'm done betting against Tom Brady when the lights are on in the Super Bowl. You saw last year and years prior when I put Mahomes over Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady gets the job done. He gets his 8th, and that's my final answer.
I'm not gonna lie, this Bucs roster is dirty. Brady, Fournette, Evans, Godwin, Julio, Cameron Brate, not to mention Tristan Wirfs, Shaq Mason, the defense, Vita Vea, Akeem Hicks, Devin White, Levante Davis, Shaquille Barrett, Antonio Winfield Jr. Oh my gosh, there's so many great names. But I'm gonna take the Bills in this future Super Bowl matchup. They just have I think they're more hungry. The Bucs have already won, and I believe in Josh Allen. I believe that his route to the Super Bowl will be much harder. It's momentum in their favor.
It's true. If they can stay healthy, though, you got to remember that.
And they've been so close. If they beat the Chiefs last year, they have a good shot of beating the Bengals, I think. And the year before that, Josh Allen, I feel like I forgot what happened that game, but I think the Bills weren't ready for that. Was their first time in the spotlight in the playoffs. They weren't ready. Wow. So I think this is the year the Bills get it done, especially if they win Thursday. I'm good taking the Bills.
And I like that pick. I really do. I think it's very comfortable. And I think if you watch how the Bills were able
comfortable.
Yeah. No, I think it can happen. I agree with you. I think it's a good pick. And I genuinely could see, because if the Bills are able to stay healthy, they're a better roster than the Bucs. They're better. They're better all around the field. And you're right in that regard. I just personally believe the experience with Tom Brady outmatches anything that they may encounter. He's a game manager. He knows how to win. He knows how to win. That's what matters there. And then not to mention, just to talk about why the Bills could be a safe bet. Look, watch how every single year they've just been steadily improving. We saw them when Josh Allen first broke the playoff drought, the longest playoff drought with Buffalo Bills, and he wasn't able to get the job done against the Houston Texans. However, you saw him able to start cooking. And then the year after, we start to see, going up against the Chiefs, and then obviously, again against the Chiefs, and they weren't able to get it done. But you could argue if they won the coin toss, they'd be in the Super Bowl. So I like the growth with this organization. And I think it's going to equate to a Super Bowl appearance.
Well, that will do it. Episode 45, NyFlyzone Podcast.
44.
44. It's been too long, so I'm glad we're back. 44 episodes. We're going to be back every week. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok at NyFlyzone. And make sure to share with all your friends.
Yes, sir. And peace.
Peace.